Good evening, everyone. Let's start today's session. Sridevi, you can start.
Is my presentation visible, ma'am?
Yes.
So, good evening, all. I'm Sridevi Satyamurthy. I'm a data engineer intern here at Hackveda. So, my task was to collect data from stock market, that is stock market related data from a website known as Alpha Vantage. So, this website basically provides called Alpha Vantage basically provides API endpoints, um, which in turn gives us stock market data, that is real time stock market data. So my task was to collect these data and convert this into a data set which can be processed further. So this is my task. Let's now get into the presentation. So the step one is Python script. So here, as we all know, API cannot be directly taken and can be processed. So API the response of an API is in the form of a JSON. So this has to be converted, pre-processed, and then only it can be fed into an AI model. So as we all know, AI and ML models basically take data sets only as inputs. So these data sets are basically pre-processed data. So for getting this data set, for getting this data set from an API, we have to first of all code integrate it. That is, we have to integrate this Alpha Vantage API with the Python script. So this can be done easily as Python supports a wide range of libraries. So that all these will be seeing in the demo. So the first step is to code integrate it. That is, the Alpha Vantage API should be taken and it will be processed using the Python libraries. And the next one is API calls. So API basically makes a call. The response of the API is got into that specific Jupyter notebook using the request library in Python. So this can be done using a very famous library in Python that is known as request library. So we'll be seeing that also in the demo. And the last part is data collection. So the response of this API endpoint will be in JSON format. So all these data which is in JSON format will be converted, will be pre-processed, and then it will be stored in form of a CSV file. Hence, this CSV file is a data set which can be further analyzed, or it can be fed into any model for further training or prediction. So this is the first step which I have done. So the next step is pre-processing. So pre-processing basically means working with the data. So before feeding that specific data set or that data into an AI model, before developing an artificial intelligence model or an ML model, we have to pre-process that data. So there are some standards in which these models take in the data. So we have to pre-process the already existing raw data. So in real time, we always get raw data. That is, the data is not properly structured, and it usually also has null values and redundant values. So these has to be cleansed, filtered, and then formatted. Hence, all these steps comes under pre-processing step. So the first step in pre-processing is data cleaning. So data cleaning here means checking for null values. So the checking for null values can be done in Python using fill any of method. So this method basically does a simple step wherein the null spaces, the null values or the missing values will be filled with an average of all the values given in that specific column. So that is known as data cleaning. And the next step is data filtering. So data filtering here means all the irrelevant data will be taken, it will be analyzed, and it will be we have to check whether this specific data actually adds on to our analysis or not, whether it is useful or not. If we think that this specific data is not fit or it is irrelevant for what we are going to do with the data, we can remove it. So this step is known as filtering data. So the last step is data formatting. That is, the the preprocessed data will finally be converted into a data frame, and this data frame can be easily converted into a CSV file, which is a data set. So these are the 3 steps under preprocessing. So the last step is data analysis. So what data analysis basically means is that we will be analyzing data and we'll be extracting information from it. So there are here I have listed down 4 main analysis which can be done on the stock market data. The first one is trend analysis. That is, I guess all of us know about what stock market and stock market data is all about. So each stock rate and how it changes according to time, and the trends and patterns can be analyzed in this specific data analysis type, which is called as trend analysis. And the next one is correlation analysis. So here correlation means how one value is related to another value. That is how one outcome is related to another outcome. Here in this task, I have Hackveda has given me 2 specific sets of stuffs which I have to consider. The first one is NSE, and the second one is BSE. So NSE stands for National Stock Exchange, and BSE stands for Bombay Stock Exchange. So these 2 are the major stock exchanges which we consider in India. So I have studied on these 2 stock exchanges, and the correlation between these 2 stock exchanges can be done using correlation analysis. So the third category is volatility analysis. That is how fast the stock market value changes, how fast the statistical value changes, and how volatile the data is can be analyzed and measured in volatility analysis. So the last one is the performance metrics. So here the performance metrics basically means which specific category under which I'll be checking the performance of my model. That is, say I develop a model. So say I develop a model for predicting the mark of a student. So I'll be feeding the data into the model, and finally I'll be giving one sample input, and for which I have the output. So I will feed that specific input to the model, and I will get the output. So I will check this the output which I have in and the output which my model gave. So when these both are very much similar, I can say my performance is very high. If they both are very equal, I can say my performance is very high. If both are slightly different, I can say my performance is good. So in relation to the output which I have and the output which my model gives, I can easily check the performance of my model. So that is known as the performance metrics here. So these are the steps. These are different. These 4 are the data analysis types which can be done using stock market data. So let's now get into the demonstration. So this is the Alpha Vantage API documentation from which I have chosen the API endpoint. So I was asked to take a time series daily adjusted endpoint. So this website is basically a very cool website for which every one of us can use when you want to work with stock market data. So yeah, so this is the format in which my API endpoint gives me the data. So this is the API which contains the endpoint. So I have chosen the demo API key here. So as you can see, the data is very huge, and it is not in the form of a data set. That is in the form of a CSV file. It is in the form of a JSON file. We can see this first part is a metadata. So metadata is basically data about the data. So this part defines the data which will be there here. That is in the response of the API. So we can see time series daily adjusted is the endpoint which I have which I was given to work on. So these are the outputs which are there. So let's now get into the demo. That is the coding part. So this is the Jupyter notebook. So Jupyter Notebook is very much, easy, and this is a very good IDE for working with Python. So I have chosen this. So firstly, importing the needed libraries is very important. Python supports a wide range of libraries, and here we need 3 main libraries to run the code in order to convert this API data into a data set. So the first one is request library. This request library is used to get the data from the URL. And the next one is pandas library. So this is pandas and NumPy together is used to convert this API data into into a CSV file. That is, firstly, it will be converted into a data frame, and then it will be formatted, it will be pre-processed, formatted, and then it will be converted into a CSV file. So in this part of the code, as we can see, I've given the API here. This is the API with the endpoint daily, with the endpoint time series daily adjusted. So I've used the request library here, and dot get is a method. So this method will get the URL. It will take the URL as the input, and it will give the response as the output. So this is the response. So this response is actually formatted here. It's shown in a contested way, but both are same data. So this is stored in the this response is stored in the variable called R, and this is converted into the JSON format, and the data is printed here. So as you can see, the data is very large, and working with it is very working with it as like this is very time consuming, and is a tedious process. So we'll be converting this into a data set. So for that, firstly, I'll be taking this data and converting it into the data frame. So data frames are basically data structures which is provided by the pandas library in Python, which basically helps us to convert any type of data into rows and columns. So PD is the keyword in which the pandas library is this is the object for the pandas library, and the dot data frame is the method which converts the data into a data frame. So I'm taking this specific method from dict_of. So this is again a method which converts any set of data. This is a method which takes data from a dictionary. So in Python, we say dictionary, we define dictionary as key value pairs. So as you can see in the JSON also, we have key value pairs. This metadata is the key, and the values inside the flower braces are the other values. So even in JSON, we have key value pairs. So these key value pairs are basically dictionaries in Python. So it will be considered as dictionaries in Python. So I'm giving from dictionary of, and I'm sending the data. I'm feeding the data into it, and I'm orienting it using the index. So as you can see, when I print BSE underscore DF, I get the formatted data. So this data is basically converted into a data frame that is in the form of rows and columns. So this is the first step. So the first step is code integration and API calls. So I have integrated API and Python coding here, and I've converted this into a data frame. So after this, I'll be processing this data set, this data frame into a way more proper data set. So let's now see the steps for that. So in this, I'm converting this specific column. So as you can see, this is a date column, and this date column is used as the index here. So index is basically a unique value or a unique key that is set for each row. So this is one row. So this date is unique for each row. As you can see, the dates do not repeat. This is 21st of August, there is 22nd of August, and this is 23rd of August. And for each date, I'll be having a set of data. So firstly, I'm converting all my values in my data frames into float. So it'll be more easy for me to work with float when I do the operations which I'll be doing further. So from here, the pre-processing step starts. So Another pre-processing step, the first step is data cleaning. So I'll be checking for null values. So dot is na of this so dot is na of is a method in Python which basically checks for null values. So as you can see, each column has 0 null values, which means there are no null values in this data set. So the API which Alpha Vintage has provided is a very good API. So we can so those who want to work with stock market data, they can use this API. As you can see, there is no null values, hence there is no need for data cleaning. So these are the columns which are present. As you can see, the column names are actually accompanied by 1, 2, 3, the index numbers, which is present in the which is basically present in the data set, that is in the JSON. So I want to remove all these because it doesn't look good, right? So only the column name should be specified. But here each column has a separate index. So I want to remove this. So for removing it, this is the code for removing it. So basically I have converted the columns into a list, and then I have capitalized the values, and I've removed all the remove the first three index values. So since I've converted all the columns into a list, this whole thing will be in a list. So after which I can concatenate or slice the first three characters, that is the number, the dot, and the space. So that is which I have done here. I've converted into a string, and I have taken out the first three values alone, and I've again mapped this into the data set. So this is the difference. As you can see, I get 1 dot open here, 2 dot high, and 3 dot low here, whereas I have open, high, and low alone here. So this is a way more formatted data. All these steps comes under data formatting. So as a next step, as we can see, the date is the index here. So it is not good to have date as an index. It should be a separate column, right? So in the next few steps, we'll be taking this date and converting it into a specific column, and I'll be assigning index value to each row. So here I have converted this the index of that specific file into a new column. This is the code to add new column. So when I print it, I can see there's a new column called date which has been added. This is a new column called date which has been added. And as a next step, I'll be removing the date which is in the index value and converting it into a numbers. So as you can see, we have around around approximately 5,000 values, which is actually huge here. So this data is again put into the index of this specific data frame. And as we can see, the date here has been converted into numbers. So it'll be more easy for us to work with. So these are the steps in which the proper data set has been created using the API and API response. So as a final step, to download this data frame, to convert this data frame into a CSV file, I have given .to_CSV of code. So this specific method converts the data frame into a data set. So I have downloaded this data set. So this is the data set which will be getting as an output. So as you can see, the data set is in a way much more formatted manner. So I have converted this API into this data set. That is the task which was given to me. I hope the demo is clear. So let me continue with the presentation now. So to conclude with, or to give a summary, I have collected data from the Alpha Vantage website, which basically provides API endpoints, which in turn gives us stock market data, stock market live data. So I have collected it, extracted it, transformed it, and I've loaded it into a CSV file. So this is about the task and its summary. So for references, I've used Alpha Vantage API documentation. That is a website which I have shown during the demo. The next one is the Python request library. So this request library was new to me, and I have learned about this in the documentation of this Python original library. And then the pandas library, which I have integrated in the Python code. These are the references which I have used. So I hope my presentation was clear. If you all have any queries, you can reach out to my mail ID. Thank you.
Okay, Sridevi, you are done.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Try to have a Q&A slide other than the thank you slide. Okay. And it should
Yeah,
be
okay.
last second, and thank you slide should be last. Okay.
Okay.
Other than that, your presentation was really amazing. Very well
Thank you.
explained. The demo portion, as well as theoretical portion, everything was really nicely, thoroughly researched, prepared, well structured. So I hope you will keep up the same work next time as well. That was great.
Yeah, ma'am, sure.
Okay. I will give the rest of
Thank
the
you.
feedback on your mail. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Deepawali, you can start.
Yes, ma'am. Is the screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, the screen is visible, but you are not visible.
Mm, Am I visible, ma'am?
Yeah, you are visible.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. My name is Deepawali Mhaisagar. I'm Internet Hackveda in Department Design Implement Data Science Solution using Azure. So here I am delivering the presentation on internship curriculum in developing a data science project using Azure for stock market investing business. Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, Deepawali.
Can I continue?
Yeah, sure, you can continue.
So these are the contents of my presentation. First, we'll understand what exactly the data science domain is, then what is data scientist, then the combination of data science and cloud computing, then data science use cases, and then we will discuss the full execution, like how we should implement a project when the planning of the project and how we should uh, continue that project in a proper and managed way. Then the data science is a combination of maths and statistics, specialized programming, advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning to uncover the hidden uh, insights hidden in an organization's data, which can be used for proper decision making and strategic planning. Nowadays, we have many sources of data, and we can use the data to determine to improve the decisions to improve the decisions in our work, and that insights can be useful in making a positive impact on our work. Then the data scientist. So data scientist is responsible for executing the tasks such as having the enough knowledge about the business and to ask a pertinent questions and identifying the business pain points, then to apply the statistics and computer science along with the business acumen to the data analysis, then use a wide range of tools and techniques for preparing and extracting the data, like from data where we can from the various sources of data that we have got from, and then extract the insights from the data using predictive analysis, AI, and other machine learning models. Then write the programs to automate the processing and calculation. Then to derive the insights from all the calculations and model which we have applied on the data, and then explain the results that can be used to solve the business problems. Then the combination of data science and cloud computing. Since data science frequently leverages on large size data sets and tools that scale the size of the data, it is incredibly important for particular time sensitive projects. Cloud storage solutions such as data lakes provides access to storage infrastructure which are capable of ingesting and processing large amount of data sets. So we can do this easily with the help of like cloud environment, where we can share and take the resources which we are required, and whenever we are required them, and we can pay, like when we use them we can pay for it then. Then the data science use cases, like where we can use this data science in the real-time systems, like we can use it in an international bank. So we can implement a software that delivers the faster loans, and which uses the trained machine learning model in implementing that this app or website. Then it can be implemented in electronic firms to develop a ultra powerful 3D print sensors to guide tomorrow's driverless vehicles. Then a robotic process automation solution can also use this to develop a cognitive business process mining solution that reduces incident handling times between. And then a digital media technology company and an urban police department, where we can use this data science for implementing a powerful solutions. Then while planning for implementing a project, we must plan before implementing that project. So when if we have 2 months, then we can distribute the task we have to be done week wise. Then in first week we get introduction to what cloud computing and Azure is, then taking the overview about data science and its application in stock market. Then we must take the introduction to the machine learning features, machine learning studio and its features available in Azure. Then in week 2 to 3, we have the task of data acquisition and preparation. Like in this task, we get data from various sources like Azure Data Factory and Event Hubs, and also we can import our own data to the data factory. Then cleaning the data for our project implementation using the Azure Databricks and Synapse Analytics. Then in the end of month 1, we have to do the data analysis and data modeling, in which we have to explore about what the statistical and machine learning models are, and building those models using the Azure Machine Learning Studio and Databricks, and then evaluating that models and doing the validation on that model to check if what we have implemented is correct or not, or is working properly or not. Then in the month 2, while we have completed all our project, we have to deploy that project. Then for deploying the project, we can use the Azure App Services and API management. And then to see the results from it, we can create a dashboard using the Azure Power BI. Then like we have implemented this project on static data which we have collected earlier, but we can um, when we have to implement on a real world project, then we can take the real time data on the data of the stock market, and using the knowledge we have gained while implementing the first, we can take the experiences from the first, and can apply the findings which we have find from the first into our real time project. And while working in a real time project, we must collaborate with our team members, and in such a way we can implement a data science solution using the Azure for our stock market investing business. And after the implementation deployment, we must present that model to the team and our higher authorities, and get feedbacks from them also. So in conclusion of the presentation, we have seen a quick intro to data science, what data scientist is, in combination of data science and cloud computing, and then use cases, and how to implement a project planning while developing a data science solution. Thank you, ma'am.
So Deepawali, you are done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so have a Q&A slide other than thank you slide, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I want to know like what exactly your topic was.
I have to explain about the internship curriculum.
Okay, internship curriculum. All right, Deepavali, what is Azure?
Azure, like it is a cloud platform where we have all the what we can say infrastructure available. Like we have their storages and we have their virtual machines, and like we have seen, we can implement like AI and ML models. Like Azure Data Factory is there from where we can take the data sets, and then Machine Learning Studio is there where all the models are available, and we can import and take that model and apply to our data and build a solution there, like build a project there.
Okay, but all these things are available as hardware as well. So why Azure?
Ma'am, because it is easy to, like, when we have required the infrastructure and when we have required the services, we can take it. We not have to purchase all the hardwares and install it in a particular room. Like we can use it from remote side.
Okay, what other options do you have other than Azure?
We have AWS, then IBM's cloud platform is there.
Okay. All right, Deepavali, rest of the feedback I will give you in a minute. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.